Hello everybody, this is expert chess player Ryan Phillips here. Um, just recently happily got over the expert rating of 2000, but just barely. And this is my first game back at the club since the Mind Sports International tournament, as I was out of town last week. I apologize if anyone was looking for a new video of mine that didn't exist. In this game I had the white piece against Hugo, and I was hoping to put up a good showing because I knew if I lost this game I would probably no longer be expert rated, and I'd like to kind of get my rating up a little bit to the point where I could maybe lose a game or two and still keep my rating over 2000 would be nice to kind of give myself a little bit of a comfort zone. But I knew this game definitely was not going to be easy, as Hugo is a very strong young player, and he's only going to keep improving and getting a lot better. Yeah, he's really nice kid, and his whole family is very nice. So it's nice to have a chess family. I know after the Patras kind of stopped coming or moved away, that we haven't really had something like this in a while, and it's pretty cool. So there's basically three siblings, and they all play chess at a really high level, and they're probably going to be dominating all the tournaments someday in the near future. So hopefully I will not let it be easy on them, but it might be like an inevitable part of time. So I think my window for dominating the club, which is a goal, not saying that I'm doing that, but a goal of mine, probably not going to last too much longer here with Royce coming up and a whole bunch of good young players, Michelangelo, Barozzi, and then all the Santiagos are also excellent players. So in this game it was French defense. I don't know, should I get the result of the game or should I keep it suspenseful? I'll keep it suspenseful. So e6, d4, d5, and then bishop b4. So we have the win-aware variation now, and Fischer didn't particularly like this idea. He said that it was positionally unsound to put your center pawns on light squares and then trade off your dark squared bishop, which was very interesting to me when he said that. I never thought about it in those terms exactly before. Granted, when I heard the quote is probably a few years ago now, so now I might consider that more prominently. But anyway, I think Fischer was probably wrong, because it seems like this variation has lasted the test of time, and the computer valuation looks pretty good for black. Looks almost like equal. So the French defense is pretty tough. Looks like black equalized pretty quickly, so maybe I should already be looking for improvements in my play up to this point. So I played e5, 97, and then I wanted to play something more aggressive. So I think in one of my last videos, I basically said I don't really like this a3 variation. I'm probably never going to play this. I'm not going to keep playing the same sidelines over and over. There's enough sidelines that I could mix it up, so I'm not extremely easy to prepare for. But I really don't have any intention to play this a3 idea and just get these double pawns in this kind of locked pawn structure. I guess positionally it's superior for white a little bit, but it's not very easy to play, I don't think, and the chances to play for a winner are pretty difficult, I think. So anyway, I played more aggressively with queen g4 here. So I think this is a solid move, just for the fact that it gets the queen onto an active position, hitting the g7 square, and it really takes advantage of the fact that this pawn on e6 is locked. That's not moving anywhere. Otherwise, the discovery on from the c8 light square bishop would be pretty devastating. But luckily I don't have to worry about that, and I think that's one of the main reasons why queen g4 is a very aggressive, nice move in these variations. So Hugo played c5, and then I went with d takes ct5 here, and then we saw d4. So this is always the test in this d takes c5 line. If black can play d4 and win a piece, then of course this is no good for white. But usually white always has sufficient resource against this d4 move, and in positions similar to this one but not quite this position, d4 could actually be a pretty significant mistake, as it could just lose this pawn in some variations. So I played a3 here, which I think was basically forced. Bishop b5 was another option, but I think a3 is a little bit better. And then Hugo played queen a5, which I was expecting. And here I kind of chickened out, so the best move here is just queen takes d4, which I did not play. For some reason, I looked at a lot of these variations, Usually I've analyzed this where white has made another move. Usually the knight's on f3, and so just to show you, usually this is the position. Not that this would be the best move here, of course, just take the knight or something. But this is usually the positions I've looked at, and I usually play. I think I've seen a takes before as kind of being best. And then here, this is slightly good for black. So maybe this isn't so great either. But there's another line that I'm trying to remember from another game that I played. I think the position's like this. Okay, I think this is the game kind of continuation I'm more familiar with. Not exactly sure how we get this move order, but I know it goes something like this. And after this continuation, this is actually really good for black. I know the computer evaluation doesn't show it yet, but I think in a minute they're going to show this position as being good for black, if I remember correctly. Maybe not. Yeah, but anyway, I don't want to get too off track, especially if I can't remember the exact game continuation. But I believe I've had this position in a few of my games. And so let's just say the game kind of goes like this. I don't know, I just remember the computer evaluation liking this a lot more for black last time I looked at this, so I'm not sure why the confusion is last time. I think I had a game against he had a real foreign name that I'm having trouble remembering. I think it was like Himang Jangle. I had a nice game against him in this line at the Reno Open, and this is the exact line here. And here I had the choice between bishop h6, which was very, very good, or castle, and I played an inferior castle in this position. I still went on to win this game. I think this was how it went, something like this. I ended up winning this game, but I wasn't as good as just playing bishop h6 immediately. So I played this inaccurately. Anyway, let's go back to the game continuation. Don't want to overload with too much analysis of games that didn't occur. So here at checking out, we should look at queen takes d4. This is important. I thought after knight b to c6, I thought that I would be in some trouble since I can't really hang on to the e pawn. But apparently the computer likes this variation for white quite a bit. So if he takes here, of course that's bad. I'll just take his bishop. But Hugo and I looked at this line. Hugo actually recommended bishop b takes c3. I actually kind of took his word for this because I know he's pretty good at these defense positions. But I actually like queen takes c3 better. It looks like the computer's kind of supporting that analysis. So get the queens off the board. I don't think we looked at this bishop f4 move though. I think we looked at knight e2. Or that was my recommendation just in the post-mortem. But this move does look pretty slow in retrospect, especially blocking in the light square bishop. So bishop f4. And I don't know. I think computer likes white a little bit here, but I don't know. It might be tough for white to win this position. I'm not sure. The show of pawns, of course, on the c file are weak. But the positive of that is the b and d file will be accessible for my rooks, so it's easy to find a square. That's kind of what I like about some chess positions. If I can, if it's real obvious where I should put my pieces, I think those, practically from a club standpoint, those are the positions that I want to be playing. Maybe super GMs, they'll find good squares for their pieces and they'll play lines that are a little that aren't as clear for where their pieces belong. But for someone like me, club level player, having the B and D files open and making it really easy for me to determine where my pieces go is a huge benefit. Just because from a game theory perspective, it's less chances for me to make a really bad move. Just all my moves are pretty logical and they should be good moves. All right. So anyway, so I played a takes b4 here, which is not such a great move, I don't think. But it's interesting, I'd say the least. So queen takes a1. And then here I made a real boneheaded move. So my initial reaction was just to play knight c to e2. That looks pretty logical. But I noticed that my light square bishop would kind of be blocked in with this move. and I didn't really like that too much, even though I could fianchetto it over here. But for some reason, I thought that I should get this light square bishop out, and so it's a not a liability for me. So I played bishop b5. But this move is just terrible because the improvement it does for my light square bishop is nothing compared to the improvement it does for my opponent's light square bishop, because this bishop on c8 is like the worst piece on the board. So letting my opponent trade this off was a huge strategic mistake, and probably should have cost me the game. So that's a little spoiler alert as to what happened. I didn't win and I didn't lose, so I think we could figure out what happened. So bishop d7, and so bishop b5 checks, just a terrible move. And I should lose the game, but I found some nice resources towards the early stages of the middle game. So bishop takes d7. Knight takes, of course. I don't know if king takes. I don't know what the computer's showing. Is there some immediate refutation for king takes? Yes, queen takes d4 looks pretty convincing, which I did see during the game. Sometimes you don't see things in the post, the next day that you obviously saw during the game. All right, so take, and then knight c to e2 is forced. Just have to protect the bishop because the bishop's pinned to my king, so I can't move it. And the knight was being attacked anyway. So here Hugo played a move which I didn't expect and I didn't care for too much. He played knight f5. I think this move is not very good. D3 was a move I thought was difficult to meet, or I was expecting just queen a4 here. I thought this would be a good move, and in which case I think I was planning on playing knight takes d4. So this is what I was intending to play. But anyway, he played knight f5, which again I don't care for too much, and I played knight f3. I think this was a after knight f5 my options are, it's very clear I have to play knight f3, so that's another drawback of knight f5 is it didn't really challenge me to make anything great happen, or knight f3 is basically the only move that looks reasonable in this position. So here we saw queen a4, and c3 looks interesting. Probably c3 is the move I should have played. I was a little bit worried about d3 after this move, maybe more than I should have, since I don't think that pass d pawn is going anywhere. So I think here I played a very bad inaccuracy. Knight e takes d4, so I don't think this move is very good. Yeah, the computer doesn't like this move either. I think this is a mistake. So after knight e takes d4, queen takes b4, c3. And then this is the move I missed. Hugo played queen c4, and I missed this move. I was hoping to play queen takes c5, where I thought I'd have some compensation, probably equality. But queen c4 is a very nice move. It stops my king from castling. It pins this knight to my own queen, and it's really hard for me to find any reasonable moves here. So I went with h3, which is basically the only move in the position I have that's any good. And then here I have a nice trap set. So basically I'm threatening knight takes f5 now. So say he plays a useless move like a6. This knight takes f5 move is winning for me, because queen takes, I don't have to recapture immediately. I have this knight d6 check move first, and then after the king moves, I take, and I'll just up a piece, or I'm up 2 pieces for a rook, I should say, and I'm also I'm also up a pawn. So this is a clear win for white with best play from this position. So h3 is a cool move. It does set a little trap. I wish h3 was here before he played queen c4, but I don't get 2 moves in a row at any point during the game. So h3, and then Hugo found a nice move here with queen d3, which I like this move a lot. I shouldn't say I like it a lot. I thought it was a good move. I was expecting knight takes d4. So maybe something like this. And obviously hoping for this move, where I'm still losing, but it might be tough for my opponent to break through with this nice pawn structure in the center. So I don't know. I don't know how difficult it would be practically for black to win this game, but I imagine that white should have some drawing chances here. So yeah, basically though, I feel like I played fine. Just the opening was bad, which obviously is very important that you don't play a bad opening, but it happens sometimes. And at least I played resourcefully, I thought, and somewhat decent from this point. I think knight e takes d4 is a mistake though. If I just play c3, I think my chance of drawing this game would have been okay. So anyway, so I played knight takes f5 here. C6 looks like an interesting. Yeah, I probably had a few opportunities to play the c6 move, but I guess I couldn't really see the full merits of it. I like the idea of kind of breaking up the pawn structure. If I could separate the A and the B pawns, I think that would be good for me, just so they don't become like powerful in the endgame. But conversely, I always have to worry about a c5 pawn push then for my opponent, which maybe wouldn't be that great for me. So anyway, so I took here, and then Hugo surprised me. He took queen takes f5 immediately, and then again I played a very bad move here. So I don't think I played particularly well this little phase of the game. But I took on g7, which is a very risky pawn grab and probably unnecessary. I looked at queen take d4, of course, but I was really concerned that rook on the d file at some point would really cause me some problems. So I kind of rejected it for that reason. But maybe it's not so easy for, after rook d8, at some point, it's not so easy to find a good discovered attack after moving the knight against the queen. So maybe I was too fearful of that move. And then queen takes f5, of course, deserves consideration. But I think my opponent still has like a lasting little endgame push there. So I went with queen takes g7, which probably too risky. And then my opponent played castle queenside immediately. So I was actually thinking, this is one I was looking at. Okay, so queen takes b2 check. Okay. So I missed this. I was just looking at the forcing moves, but this is a nice little subtle move. I was looking at this, which would be winning for white here. But queen takes b2 looks very nice. Yeah, and this doesn't look particularly good for white in this position. So maybe my opponent should have went for this variation. I think Hugo had like a lot of ways to win this game. I never really got like an equal position after A takes b4. I think I was struggling for equality the rest of the game. So anyway, though, Hugo castled queenside quickly, and my initial reaction was to play queen g5, which I probably should have played. But I ended up playing this inferior move, queen g4. And here Hugo played queen d3, which was the best move, I thought. And I played queen d4. And here Hugo found knight takes e5, which I think was the best move in the position. I saw this move as well. And the idea is just, if I take the queen, just knight takes d3 is very strong. And if I take the knight, I'm going to get mated on d1. Well, if you play queen d2, if you had a mouse slip during the game, that would have been good for me. But anyway, queen d1, mate. So can't really allow that. So basically, knight takes e5 is forced. And then here, Hugo and I, we both missed this very nice move. Queen c2 basically wins the game. And I think what I missed about this move is that I knew I could defend the mate threat, but I missed out my bishop is also unprotected. So I thought I could play something like queen g4 here, protecting the, defending against mate, but then I just lose my bishop on c1. Oops, another mouse slip, sorry about that. So yeah, so we both missed this queen c2 move, which is weird. I looked at queen c2 in a lot of lines, and I think I felt queen c2 as being good, but I didn't really see why exactly. And I think now looking at it, it's very obvious. I'm not sure. The game continuation went so fast, I think we were both trying to impress one another with our calculating abilities that we had seen this line that we both didn't look. I mean, really, to be honest, this is really Hugo's responsibility to look deeper because my position was basically busted after queen d3. So queen d4 is forced. I thought I didn't really see any other way to even prolong the game. So really, this is more Hugo's mistake than mine because I really have no alternative. So Hugo basically just had a winning position, and luckily for me, he didn't find the best move, queen c2. But anyway, after rook takes d4, he still has a winning position, I think, and should have been able to convert this. So knight takes d3 is forced. Rook takes, and when I initially calculated this line, I wanted to play king e2. That was my initial idea, and then probably just swing the other rook over. But I saw that this bishop e3 move actually poses some threats because I'm threatening now bishop d4. I notice this rook on d3 is. Oops, sorry. I notice this rook on d3 is trapped if I play bishop d4. And I thought it wasn't so easy for him to kind of deal with this threat. If he played rook g8, I was actually, I wasn't going to protect this pawn. I was still planning on playing here. And if takes, alright, king f1. I wasn't planning on playing king f1. I was planning on playing king e2 right away. Is there something? Am I missing something? Ah, the pin. Okay, that's a nice move. The pin's important. Okay, so I have to play king f1 first. And then after the rook moves, now I could play king e2 because there's no pin on the f-pawn anymore. So, just really a remarkable game if you sit and think about it sometimes. But anyway, so he didn't play rook g8, but if he did, I was planning on playing bishop d4 anyway. So he ended up playing rook h to d8, which I was happy to see because I thought he might play this move, and I thought it was pretty bad. Computer showing king e2, but I thought practically bishop d4 is a better move. And then Virgil after the game told us just take, which of course we both looked at. I thought I could probably hold this position. So we both kind of looked at. And then I don't know, maybe this, I don't know. Computer evaluation is of course giving black the pawn advantage, which it deserves, of course, no question about that. But whether that's enough to win the rook and pawn game, I'm not really good enough to say. I know these rook and pawn games are tricky. So maybe Hugo should have went for this line though. I think maybe he might be better at this rook and pawn game than I would have been. I'm not sure. So anyway, though, this line didn't occur. So he went with another variation, which I thought he might play. He played e5 here. And then I played king e2 and I offered a draw, just to kind of let Hugo know that I was happy with my position, that I think I kind of outsmarted him in this little phase of the game, and I wanted to let him know that, respectively, of course. But you know, it was a little bit of a psychological draw offer. Hugo kind of took my draw offer with disdain and said, "No, let's play on a little bit." So he played e4 here, which I think is basically forced. I think now if he plays, now taking the bishop isn't particularly good, because now it's really easy for me to defend my c-pawn with even like rook c1. I think should be fine. So many mouse slips, sorry about that. I guess the king just runs up, but I guess more actively rook a1 would have been good. So I'm basically have a tempo, because he wasted tempo with e5 rather than just taking the bishop immediately. So the extra tempo really comes in handy here. And yeah, this should be drawn here. I don't know. The computer never really looks at. So if we have king b8, b3. So this is active defense. And yeah, this is better than, well, king e3. I don't know, this, yeah, I don't know, this doesn't look good. I always get confused when the computer shows a move as like an equal evaluation, and then right after you make the move, it shows a way better move for your opponent. I never quite understand that. Maybe my computer's like too slow to adjust. So yeah, I don't really like king e3 though. I think probably king e1 is a better way to secure the draw. Yeah, because this saves really whole tempo. And then I don't know. This might be a cool like little pawn race, but I think this should draw ultimately. So I guess here with the idea to get the rook behind the pawn, but that doesn't seem to quite work. Rook f3. How does rook f3 work? Doesn't the a pawn just queen? Oh no, my king's in the square still. Circle gets the square, so if he takes. Oh, this is interesting. Yeah, my h pawn's better than his a pawn. He pushes. Yes, it's absolutely nothing. And then yeah, my H pawn was just advanced. So this would have been an interesting idea. Rook F3 was an interesting move. But anyway, this looks like it would have been complicated over the board. So anyway, after E4, I played Rook A1, and then here Hugo offered me a draw, which I was a little surprised because I thought his position was still a little bit better. I was kind of hoping for, if King B8, I was thinking that this Bishop E5 is pretty good. And then here I have this C6 push idea. Say he plays, if he plays B6, I'll just take, of course, so that would be a mistake. Say he plays a move like this, I was planning on playing C6, and I could just take, due to the pintle on the A file. And if he played King C8, I was going to play the bishop. Well, I could take the pawn, but I was just going to go for the perpetual here and just probably play the bishop back to D4 and be content with the draw. And if he had played A6 here, I was planning on playing C6, which I don't think the computer likes too much, but I'm just going to play this. And probably G3, and then I don't know. Now the rook isn't trapped because he could play rook to F3 if he wants. So I don't know if I could still hold this endgame, but my I don't know. My hunch is I could hold this endgame, to be honest, because I like this bishop on D4 with the pawn here, and if I can get this B4 pawn move in, say something like this. If I can get this kind of structure with B4, maybe. I think this is pretty nice little fortress here, maybe. So that's just my that's my hunch. I'm not 100% sure if this is drawable, but I think I should be able to draw this position with best play here. I don't think black can break through here. So anyway, though, Hugo offered me a draw after Rook A1, and I was pretty happy. After the game, he actually told me he thought that white might be slightly better here, but I didn't think that was true at all. I disagree with that. I definitely thought black was still slightly better, but I don't think it was enough to play for a win anymore. But maybe I'm incorrect about that. Maybe A6 and black could still try for a win. Anyway, though, it's always been fun playing Hugo. He hasn't had the white piece against me yet, so I'm sure when that happens, I'm going to have to play a lot better than this. We played two French defenses in this D6 C5 line. The move order has been slightly different, and Hugo played bishop takes C5 last time rather than this queen A5 idea. But both the games have been pretty entertaining, and they've both been well-fought contests, so it's probably the first game I should have maybe won, and then in this game he probably should have won. So I guess the two draws aren't unreasonable results to this point. But yeah, it was a real fun game, and looking forward to having lots of good battles with Hugo in the future. I'm sure, hopefully in the near future, we'll play lots more games. That's my hope. And yeah, it was an enjoyable game, and I think right now we're pretty evenly matched. So hopefully Hugo doesn't go like on a chest spurt and get to like 2300 in the next like 6 months where I can't really take any games off him anymore. But anyway, this is Ryan Phillips signing off, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and that was a pretty good game. Alright, thanks for watching.